Hey there, Citizens, Paler here, and welcome back. I think this is gonna be a state of the game type video overall. I got several subjects, conversations I want to cover, and unfortunately I don't have the time right now to do each and every one of them their own video. Work has been very busy, and then my nephew graduated. That's why I missed last Monday. You guys don't really care, but basically I've just been running around and haven't had enough time to actually do what I wanted to do. So basically one video to cover a lot of that stuff. In the future, hopefully we'll get a little more in depth with it, but I'm heading out of town Tuesday again, so yeah, this is what we're gonna do. So I'm guessing most of you already know, if you're watching these type of videos, 3.5.1 has dropped, and with it, it brought some quality of life updates, it fixed some bugs, introduced maybe a few more of its own, though for the most part, it is a pretty good patch. Obviously, it's kind of late for it, in my opinion. It took them far too long, I think, to get the storefront working for that. That's my guess of what held it up. That was my guess before, was that storefront for all the cosmetics and stuff. We'll talk about that a little bit more later on. It's a little bit late because literally the 3.6 patch should be going to Evocati like any day now, if it's not already. I haven't seen anything saying it's in Evocati's hands, but 3.6 should be coming in about 15 days. I would expect closer to 30 to 45, probably be about a month late, if I had to guess, just based off of how long it took them to get 3.5.1 out. But yeah, it's we're close to 3.6. Now 3.6 has been adjusted some. For the most part, the big one is the 890 jump and the defender are out of it. I'm okay with this. There's plenty of ships in game, at least in my opinion. There's plenty of ships in games to play with. I'm more interested in the systems that they can put in, and right now the systems for 3.6 are looking okay. There's some new rework of the law system, or the beginning implementation of the law system, where it's going to categorize things rather than just being, this is 1 pip, that's 2 pips, or whatever. Landing on the wrong pad or whatever is not going to be, 1/3 the punishment of murdering a player or something along those lines. At least that's what they talked about. This is coming from the recent Pillar Talk video, which was quite good. It was good to see them sit down and talk about a little bit more of what's going to be coming in 3.6 and so on. And I think 3.6 is shaping up to probably be a fairly good patch. It's going to be interesting to see. They're adjusting the flight model again a little bit. More they're adding to it than adjusting it. So we already know the VTOL system's coming in. That should be pretty cool. Hopefully that also helps make the Gravlev bikes, your Dragonfly, Aopa Nox. Is there another one? There's another one in the works, the Origin one, but those are the two that are in game. Hopefully it makes those things a little more easily controlled and able to get them in and out of ships without trying to bash your head into the ceiling of the ship. That would be pretty cool, so looking forward to that. But they also mentioned that they're going to be bringing back kind of the more traditional thrust type mechanics, so you're still going to have the current one, but there's also going to be a normal slider for HOTAS users. So you'll be able to use, throttle, and it won't be just forward or reverse at 100%, and then you adjust your min-max. You'll be able to just give 20% thrust or 30% thrust, depending on how far you would slide the slider forward or backwards, in addition to also keeping the current one. That'll mix things up and be interesting. Speaking of HOTAS and all that, I went ahead, and the previous video I did was about the dual stick setup using the, hang on, let me look over there. What is it called? I forget. It's the TXM 10 whatever. And I'm still using the dual sticks for the most part within Star Citizen overall. But in addition to that, I went ahead and I dropped the money to pick up the throttle, just to see how it worked. Also, I felt that there were some games that I wanted to use the joysticks on that didn't really benefit too much from dual stick. More of a traditional throttle setup would have worked. So that's looking at Elite Dangerous, War Thunder, games like that, possibly Rebel Galaxy Outlaws coming out here in a couple of months, hopefully. I think those types of games would probably do better with the throttle. In fact, I know for sure Elite Dangerous and War Thunder do. So I picked up the throttle. And there will be a full impressions video on all this stuff. I'm still trying to figure out how to record it and everything, as I don't really record in my office I don't have a camera set up for that. I have a webcam and then my phone. And yeah, I'm not really sure how I'm going to do that, but let me say this. For $200, you can get basically both sticks and the throttle. It's actually like $190 if you buy it correctly, which would be buy the stick throttle combination, which would come in at like $120, and then you can get the standalone second stick, which is $60 or something. So I guess that makes it $180, somewhere in there. If you buy it that way, it's $180. If you buy the dual sticks and then buy the throttle later on, it's $190. But it's a really good setup that you can go ahead. It's not a massive investment, in my opinion. Now, $200 to you might be different than $200 to me, but it's a good baseline investment that as the game continues to develop over the next 2 or 3 years, you'll be able to make full advantage of either setup depending on how the flight controls go and everything. And then once we start moving into late beta, maybe into early launch of the persistent universe type stuff, no more resets, and everything's really nailed down, then like you can go ahead and say, okay, do I want to spend more money for a higher end stick? What is the best way to go? Am I enjoying dual stick? Am I enjoying one stick and throttle? You know, you can figure all of that out later on. So that's kind of at least my approach to it now. I'm happy with where I am. You know, the $200 spent here, the old X52, it's in the closet now. I don't plan on pulling it back out ever again, really. Probably could get rid of it. But maybe we'll hold on to it just in case, you know, one of these breaks or something. But yeah, I've been happy with that setup, other than mounting it to the desk. But that's a whole other conversation we'll have later on, and that's probably going to go into a different video too, of the different desk mounts or setups I've tried, and so on. But anyway, so yeah, the dual sticks, all that stuff's looking good. The flight model's being reworked. The law system's going in, being reworked. There's 2 things like I really wish they would put into the game right now. Like if I had 2 requests for them, and one of them admittedly would not be needed in a couple of months, maybe a year or so, when server meshing comes online, but I think it would be something that would be relatively easy for them to build. Shouldn't take a programmer too long, but would really improve the quality of life for for players right now. And that would be a login queue. So if you go to join on a friend and their server's full, basically you got to sit there and just keep spamming it over and over until someone disconnects or leaves the server, then you can hopefully get into it. And that really sucks. I would like the ability to say, okay, I want to join this friend, put me in queue, and as soon as, you know, my position's up, boom, I'm into the server, whatever. Obviously, when server meshing comes online, they won't need that anymore because it would just be one mass server. But for now, I think that would be a nice quality of life feature to have. I'm no programmer, I'm no coder, so I don't know how hard or how easy that is, but it seems like on the surface it should be something relatively easy to reserve a position on a server, and then when your position's up, go in. The second one is also one that I think would be relatively easily implemented, and that would be the ability to just straight up trade UEC, Alpha UEC in this case, to other players. I realize they're trying to get the beacon system and they're trying to improve it right now, but I would like the ability to, you know, if they could just do this, you know, however long it takes to get the beacon system worked out and get it fully fleshed out and everything, that could be done in 6 months, that could be 18 months, we don't really know. But if I could just trade money with other players, I could go ahead and with my friends, we could do cargo runs, and I could look at it, okay, here's my profit, you flew escort, so here's your 15%, and I don't have to try and make a beacon and then somebody else takes the beacon, because right now I can't make it only friends or whatever. So being able to do that, not have to worry about the beacon system, and just be like, here's your percentage of the cut, here's your percentage of the cut, hand it out like that. That'd be nice. Also, if you're someone like me that plays more than a lot of your friends, you can go around, you can have money or whatever in you know, UEC, Alpha UEC that you've earned up. When they jump in, maybe they don't have enough for all the body armor and weapons they want. You're like, here's 15,000 Alpha UEC, go ahead and have a good time. I think that would be nice. So those 2 things would be really good. I hopefully something like that comes online. I really doubt the first one. I think they'll look at it and be like, well, since when server meshing happens, we won't need it anymore. We're not going to implement it, which I don't know. I think that's a little disappointing just because who knows when that's going to happen. You know, there's a lot of code that has to happen before server meshing is going to really be a thing, and they can start boosting that player count and stuff. So yeah, those are kind of what I kind of want to see. The 300 series. So I've played around a little bit with the 315, a fair bit with the 325, and a little bit with the 350R. The 350 was honestly a little disappointing for me. Had high expectations for that one coming off of the 300. I spent a lot of time with the 300 waiting on 3.5.1. I probably put 10 or so hours in using that ship overall, and I'll tell you, it's grown on me. It's a very reliable ship. My only major complaint with it is the same one I put out in my tour of duty of it, and that's the default loadout really sucks. That's the default 300i. Luckily, through 3.5.1, they kind of corrected that. They didn't change the default loadout, but now when you change the loadout, when you insurance claim it, you get back what that loadout was that was on the ship. So you don't have to worry about, oh, I'm flying along, I got disconnected from the server, now I have to insurance claim the ship, plus I have to fly out to where I got the weapons, spend 12,000, 15, 20,000 credits buying the weapons and the gimbals, remounting them, and going through it all again. Now you do it once, then you insurance claim it, and you just keep getting this stuff back and back and back. So it kind of, in a roundabout way, fixed the 300i issue. So the 300i I really liked. The 315, you lose that front nose gun for a quote-unquote, what's it called? A tractor beam, which is a little strange for an exploration ship. I'm guessing it's just placeholder right now, but that does mean you give up 1/3 of your firepower compared to the 300i. In exchange for that, you do gain an extra underdeck storage area, which adds another, I think, 4 SCU. You have 12 compared to 8, if I recall correctly. So you get a little more storage if you want to do cargo trading and stuff. And the quantum drive seemed to be more efficient. Not faster. You still had the same size 1 quantum drive. But I was able to go all the way from Hurston to ArcCorp without coming out of quantum with the 315. I was not able to do that with the 325 or the 300. I had to stop at least once. Generally, they could do, I want to say, about 21 million kilometers before they overheated, and it's like 42 million. So it was basically just about dead middle halfway. You overheated, you came out, you had to let it cool down and then jump again. Didn't have that happen with the 315, which was nice, but I'm not sure if a little more cargo capacity and better quantum efficiency really makes up for giving up that one gun. It'll really depend on when the exploration mechanics come in, what they do with that front nose to make it accessible. I mean, it's not a combat ship, so maybe you don't need that extra front nose, but I just wasn't super impressed with it. The 350R, that one, as I mentioned, I wasn't super impressed with that one either, as it gives up a lot of durability. I took it into Arena Commander, and after just smoking Arena Commander with the 300i, just it being easy with that ship, once I got the weapon loadout I liked and everything, I did a very similar loadout with the 350R, and I found it actually very challenging. 2 missiles, which the Cutlasses like to dump like 8 missiles at you at a time, was enough to blow a wing off, and then you're losing some firepower. The ship just felt very fragile. And I also didn't like its maneuverability. It was fast, make no mistakes. It's fast, it accelerates really quick in a straight line. It's a dragster. For my flying, though, especially using the dual sticks, I want more lateral agility, more left to right, up to down, that type of stuff. And with that, it actually felt worse than the 300 or the 325. I don't know if it actually is. Maybe I could pull up what's the database that pulls all that stuff, and if it's accurate, but it definitely felt like it didn't have the lateral. It could have just been, though, that my momentum forward was so great that it kind of let it off, but I didn't feel that its speed overcame what it gave up in terms of durability and survivability. Now, that's an Arena Commander. I don't really do the racing. I tried to do the racing twice, and I ended up just crashing into a lot of stuff. I couldn't control it. If you're more into racing and you're looking for speed, then maybe it's, a good ship, because unlike any of the other racing ships with, including the Mustang racing variant doesn't have a bed or anything. It's going to be the only one that I can think of right now that is that type, that is a racing ship that has the ability to log out, log back in. Plus, like, you can got the little cargo thing behind your seat. You can drop packages and stuff. So it does have more utility than basically any of the other racing ships. That includes the M50 and what's the Formula One looking one? I can't remember what it is. But when you put them all together, it does have that. But for my playstyle, the type of gameplay I go into, I did not like giving up that durability. Then you have the 325, which is the one I actually ended up keeping in my fleet for now. I don't know how long it's going to stay in. I really found it to be a solid ship. So the big thing it gains is it has more missiles. What used to be the primary cargo bay for the 300, also the primary on the 315, is now a larger missile Rex. You got like 4 additional missiles in there. You also gain a size 4 on the nose rather than a size 3. So you have, when you gimbal it down, where the 300i you have 3 size 2s, this you have 1 size 3, 2 size 2s, plus additional missiles overall, giving it a little more punch. You do give up that cargo area though underneath because of that. However, you do maintain the rear one. So whereas the 300 has, I think, 8 SCU, the 315 has 12, you have 4. You just have the back end one, which I'm not using it, or I don't plan on using it for a cargo hauler. Just 4 SCU, you know, 4 or 8 or even 12 isn't that much. But it does have, you know, in the pinch you have that. You also still have the bed and all of the other interior stuff. So yeah, I like that ship overall. I've been playing around with it a fair bit, and it's working pretty good. Speaking of that, let's talk about the storefront. There's been some mixed opinions on this. I'm just going to share my opinion. Whether you agree with me or not, that's completely fine. You know, everyone's got their owns on this. It turned out that it was basically exactly what I expected it to be. You know, I was going in figuring they were going to turn the storefront when you buy a ship into the similar to that of an auto manufacturer. You go to Ford, Honda, you know, whatever. You get all these different customization options, trim levels, things along those lines, and that's exactly what they did. The prices that they did on the cosmetics, I'm very much pro for. You know, you got basic, you know, 5 colors that are free. You know, they're the same price as the ship. Then there's a couple of premium ones that were $1, and then there's a couple of like exclusive premiums that were $2. $2 for a 300 series paint job, you know, that's fine. The interior cosmetic stuff, the coffee maker, the clock and stuff, those were all $1. A lot of the other the trims and stuff, they're about $1. So depending on how in-depth you want to go, you're going to spend anywhere from like $3 to $7 additionally just to kind of customize it out. My 315, I spent $4 in addition, so I did the metallic blue paint job, which I think looks better on the website than it does in game, but it's fine. It's not bad, and I haven't seen too many people flying around with that, so I do like the exclusivity of it type of thing. I did carbon fiber cosmetic interior, and then I did the alarm clock. I hope at some point in time when they kind of have an in-game clock system for, you know, the rotations and everything, that'll show up. I think that'd be pretty cool, but I didn't care about the coffee makers and everything, and all that together was like $4 in additional accessories. A couple bucks here or there for cosmetics, I'm 100% fine. Now, I hope this kind of progresses out. You know, we do know at some point we'll be able to buy some color paint customization in-game through Alpha. Well, it'll be UEC at that point, probably, rather than Alpha UEC or maybe Beta UEC. I kind of hope they kind of go down the route of Warframe, which if you've never played, let me explain. So Warframe, they have very similar to Star Citizen in all the layers. They have different layers that they apply different colors to. And what you can do is you can go in and you can kind of custom paint your frames all over the place and you apply different colors. Now you can't go in with like a brush tool. So there's no way to go in and draw a bunch of penises or Nazi signs, swastikas, things like that. You can't be offensive. What you do is you go in, okay, this frame has 8 different color layers or whatever, and you can apply this color to that layer, this color to that layer, and so on. So that's how they do their customization. We can already see that's kind of the route they're going with Star Citizen. What Warframe then does in addition, though, is like you get by default like 13 colors, and then they sell color palettes, which once you unlock them, you can apply that palette to any weapon, any frame, anything like that. And I'm kind of hoping Star Citizen will maybe do something like that. Like maybe it'll be a metallic palette, and it'll have 16 metallic paint colors in it, and you would buy that for $12, say. And then once you've bought that, you can apply those colors to any layer on any of your ships, any of your armors, and so on. And then maybe there'll be a neon color set, and then a chromatic color set. Then you could have all these different color sets that you could add up to, and I would be okay with that. Now, if you're someone that's really into customization, I can see you already looking at it and be like, well, they're just going to nickel and dime it then. Well, they're going to do something to continue to generate money in the store. That is the way it's going to go. So far, they've mostly resisted selling power, or at least exclusively selling power in game. You know, everything's quote unquote supposed to be earnable in game that has, you know, the ships and stuff. We'll see But that's a different conversation for a different time. But as long as they're going to continue to do that, I'm okay with that cosmetic stuff in the shop. But that's just me personally. Like, if my ship's just the normal standard color, I'm okay with that. If a buck or two I can get, a different unique color, I'm okay with that too. None of that really bothers me. But I'm not very deep into that type of stuff. It doesn't really affect me. And yeah, as long as it's not $25 per color or something, that's okay. As for the ship components and stuff, because of the new insurance claim system and everything, and most of the loadouts didn't seem to be made by players. You could tell that those were devs going in there and be like, okay, kind of mix and matching these together. For the most part, none of them made a lot of sense of how I would want to equip my ship. So the cost of them just didn't really fit. When some of them were like $8, but the high-end ones were like 20, 25 bucks for it. Yeah, I didn't mess with that at all. Not now that we can just go earn the weapons in game, throw them on the ship. You lose the ship, you insurance claim it, those weapons are still on the ship for that. So I wouldn't definitely not look to that too much. That's my thoughts on the storefront. I'm pleased with it. About my only big disappointment was that it's only the 300 series. If it took them that long to implement it on the 300 series, how long is it going to take till you can custom paint a Connie or your freelancer or whatever? Hopefully the back end tech now, they can add the other ships in quick, but they haven't done that yet, and we don't know if they are going to, or if only new ships are going to be in it. That's going to be something interesting to see. We've gone over 20 minutes now. Let's see, anything else I want to cover? The non-gimbaled weapons, fixed weapons now, their convergence feels a lot better. It's still tough to argue that over auto gimbals or gimbal assist for most people. I'm glad that my glaive is usable again. I took it out and I had a reasonably good time with it, and I'm not that great of a pilot. If I was a much better pilot with better accuracy and all that stuff, I could see how the glaive could still be a terror again. And it's nice to know that that ship has some viability again, because it did not in 3.5. Ooh, was it bad. So they fixed that up. It's better. For the average player, or maybe even slightly above average player and down, I still think the gimbal assist is going to be the way to go for most people, and you probably aren't going to be too interested in ships like the glaive, the scythe, ones that you can't gimbal. We'll see. All that stuff can be rebalanced, but at least they're usable again. They're not completely worthless when you take them out. You can actually do some combat with them, which is a nice change. Let's see, other than that, yeah, things seem to be going okay. 3.6 should be interesting. Right now, 3.5, the few complaints I've had is the bounties. You pick up a bounty, you want to go off and make 5,000, 7,000, 10,000 credits. The waypoint almost never shows up, which is really annoying. Some of the other mission types, like the disable the relays or clear out a bandit den stuff, those are pretty reliable. So there's still things you can do to make credits. That works pretty well. I've been staying away from trading. I tried it one night and it was just a pain in the butt. There's too many materials that, like, you buy them and you can only buy, like, you try and buy a full freelancer worth, and it takes you 20 minutes because you can only buy 50 SCUs or 100 SCUs every 3 minutes. So there's just too long of an internal timer. And then when you go to sell it, you can only sell 50 or 100 SCUs at a time. There are some materials that you don't have that, but it's kind of hit or miss. You got to know which ones you're buying. And I just found, like, there was a time literally where my ship despawned with about 10,000 credits worth in it because it was taking me so long to sell it. And it was like, Jesus, now what? Luckily, it still showed up in that terminal. I was still able to sell everything off, but then I was stranded there at that outpost. Had to basically suicide, go back, insurance claim the ship. I did lose a little bit of the inventory because there was some leftover cargo that I could not sell at that location, so I lost like 3,000 credits or whatever because of that. But it was just kind of annoying. There'll be a point when trade becomes good, but right now I just find it to be a hassle to do. If I'm going to spend 20 minutes selling items, I would rather spend 20 minutes in quantum travel from point A to point B to pop a couple of targets and make 10,000 credits. And at least while I'm in quantum, I can get up and go do other things. I can have YouTube going. I'm not sitting there babysitting my ship, hoping that nobody comes in and blows it up while I'm in at the terminal trying to sell stuff, or hoping it doesn't despawn. Yeah. So that's 3.5.1, some expectations into 3.6, looking forward to that, looking forward to the reworked Vanguard, a couple small items, a nice little 25-minute ramble on Star Citizen. Once things calm down, we will start getting back into some more regular content. It might not happen until about 3.6 drops, we'll see. It's June, July, August are going to be very busy for me by the looks of my calendar already filling up, but hopefully we can get some more of that out of there. For those of you still hanging around, still watching this stuff, thank you very much for the views, any of the comments and stuff. That's all awesome. It helps generate traffic on the channel. Yeah, and until next time, this has been Power. Thanks for watching.